What can a dentist learn from the richest man in Babylon? Babylon was the most successful, wealthiest society to have ever existed. And it existed over 2,000 years ago. Yet, the principles of what made the man the wealthiest man in Babylon still applies to today. In today's video, I'm going to break down the key takeaways from George Clason's book, The Wealthiest Man in Babylon, and what you as a dentist or busy professional can do to align your actions and mindset with those of the truly wealthy. Hey guys, I'm Jonny Walker. I'm a successful endodontist as well as a multimillionaire in real estate investing. On this channel, we teach dentists and high net worth professionals on how they too can achieve financial independence. Investing heavily in real estate over the last dozen years has allowed me to take a giant step back from my clinical practice, practice it at an enjoyable amount of hours, spend enormous amounts of time with my family and friends, do things I enjoy like traveling and working out, as well as it gives me time to pursue things that I'm passionate about, such as investing in real estate and educating my fellow dentists on financial literacy. Let's get started. Now, going back to Babylon, Babylon was an amazing place because of where it even existed. Babylon was literally on a desert, was built on a desert. Usually cities and settlements begin near sources of water, such as rivers, lakes, or oceans. In this case, it started in the middle of nowhere. It took collective human ingenuity and imagination to make a flourishing society come out of the ground. This place was very special, especially for over 2,000 years ago. This was a place where arts and literature was respected, debate amongst intellectuals, and of course, successful entrepreneurs and business people all met in this area. And the richest man, this story is about the richest man in Babylon, Arkad. He was well known for being a rich and powerful man that was self-made. One day he was walking into the store and a bricklayer, a dusty bricklayer from a hard day of work, mixed with sweat and cement all over his body and clothes, had the audacity to approach Arkad when he saw him and said, "Please sir, can you teach me how you became so wealthy?" Arkad by this time was in his 70s. He was an old veteran of life, and having not a wise son at that time to pass his lessons on to, took a little bit of an empathetic stance and took the time to explain some of life's wealth building lessons. I'm going to summarize them and curate these lessons specifically for you as a busy professional. Now, one of the things that he talked about was learning to live within your means. These aren't the exact words. It says accumulate at the rate of 1/10. So Arkad talks of his story of getting rich from his poor days as a worker. He always tells himself, quote, "You have to set aside 1/10 of all the money you have earned," unquote. Think about it every morning when you wake up, every afternoon before you eat, and even before you go to bed at night. The amount set aside for yourself should not be less than 1/10 of your total earnings, and other expenses must be arranged reasonably so as not to exceed the remaining amount. By saving at least 10% of your earnings and leaving it unspent, over time the amount will increase, and at that time money will become your slave. It doesn't matter how much money you start with as long as you follow the rule of paying yourself first from whatever you earn. By the time you get used to living on a certain percentage of your income, you won't even notice this lack of savings. And anyone who can, sooner or later, live on 80 or 90% of their income and enslave money can become rich. So what is he saying here? They talk about slavery a lot, I guess, in those times, which was normal. But here he doesn't talk about people being slaves. Here he talks about money being the slave and money going out and working for you. That's a fundamental shift from what most people think about money. Most people are taught, hey, go get a good job, go learn, go get a great education so that you can get a great job that will pay you. Here, it's a complete shift. Let's set aside money that will pay us instead. So here they say you should save at least 10% of your income. Now this comes down to responsible money management of your own income. I personally, especially if you're a young doctor, you should be saving much more than 10%. Instead of letting your expenses spiral out of control because of all this delayed gratification, I've been in school for 12 years, now I need to go buy a $90,000 car and a beautiful big home. Instead of doing that, we're not saying that you shouldn't do these things. We're not saying that you shouldn't even try to aspire to have whatever that you desire. But you should approach it in a different way, right? So here, learn to live slightly below your means and over time, expand your means. Now, if you can live off 50% of all earnings that you make, that means you can save 50% that can be used to pay you, right? I personally have a little bit further along in my career, in my investing career. I also have a family where my expenses are higher now. I save, even to this day, 20% of every dollar that comes in will go into a separate account, and I learn to live off 80% of my money. That's rule number one. He talks about controlling your spending. Now, we've already kind of covered this point, but he said, Arkad says, even though different occupations have different amounts of money, some people, such as dentists or lawyers or doctors, can earn double or triple the income of some of their peers. But why is it that everyone's pocketbook is flat in the end of the day? Have you ever wondered about what we often call the necessities of life? So human desires are endless, and we can only satisfy some of them for ourselves. So consider making a list of your essentials. Then pick a few essentials for life that fit your 9/10 of your income amount, or 8/10, or if you're even more aggressive, 5/10. Planning your expenses right now will help you meet your needs, enjoy the joys of life, fulfill your legitimate desires, and ensure a full life in your life future, unquote. This is, I believe, the beginning where most people go wrong, including myself. I did not have someone, there was no podcast back then, there was no audible.com. You kind of had to figure things out on your own. This is not what I learned. I learned, hey, look, I'm earning so much money now. I can afford to upgrade my vacation. I can afford to get a big car. I can afford the mansion. I can afford the Rolex. I can afford the custom-made clothing. But I can afford it because I work for it. I didn't have that concept down. So then we talk about the 5 laws of gold. The richest man in Babylon, Arkad, taught Nomasir, the bricklayer. Number 1, gold comes to those who know how to save. We talked about this. Gold proliferates with those who know how to invest it. That's number 2 now, right? So we've learned to accumulate the money by savings and paying ourselves first. Now we need to learn to invest it in the right things that will actually accumulate. Well, investing could mean anything. Investing could mean lending money to your nephew to start a barbershop. Investing could be investing in stocks. Investing could be in buying cryptocurrency. Investing could be buying real estate. Investing could be taking a course to make yourself better. Investing in yourself so that you can earn more money. Number 3, gold stays with those who trust it to the wise. So this is the key. You shouldn't just invest it in anything. Just because you saved the money, that's great, you did that, but then you invested in things that may or may not work. That also is a recipe for disaster. So gold stays with those who trust it to the wise. So what does that mean? That when he talks about this is go and seek advice, mentorship, not from people that are just talking about it, but from people that have actually done what you're trying to do. In this story, Nomasir, the bricklayer, he started saving money, but then he went and started he was a bricklayer, and he started investing in a cow milking business, right? He heard from one of his other bricklayer friends, hey, this cow milking business is paying off tons of return. So what did he do? He went and invested in that, and it ended up being a scam, and he lost it. Nomasir saved up again. He got some more lessons from Arkad, and Arkad had told him, seek counsel from wise men that have done it. Being in the bricklayer business and working with a lot of the masons that were building structures, he now invested in a mason business. It was something he understood. He also knew the people that were building it and were getting wealthy from selling these things. The rates of returns weren't as high as the promised cow milking business, aka cryptocurrency, maybe. So he started to earn from his money now. So number 4, gold is lost when you invest in things you don't understand. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Cryptocurrencies, stocks, options, sometimes we understand it, sometimes we don't, sometimes we just do what our financial advisor tells us to do. Number 5, gold is lost quickly under the get-rich-quick scheme. We get that, right? I think so. So now for Nomasir, the bricklayer, when he started to apply these rules of gold and apply the lessons taught to him by the richest man in Babylon, besides his own experiences of failure, he studied and solidified the philosophy that was taught to him, because without wisdom, gold is quickly lost to the one who has it. But with wisdom, gold can be made from someone who does not have it. This is kind of a great summary of the book. Now, you as a dentist, what does this mean? This means that you need to start paying yourself first, number 1. Number 2, having a shift in mindset where money is the slave to you and works for you. Because when money is working, it works day and night. It's always working, even better than human slaves. Human slaves that need sleep, they need time to eat. Money does not need any of these things. And the larger army of golden slaves you have out in the world working for you, the less that you have to work for it. Also remember, invest in things you understand. Warren Buffett says this all the time. He doesn't invest in things he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand tech. Apple, has a value stock, but he doesn't, or actually a growth stock, really, if you think about it. But he does not invest in things he doesn't understand. Seek mentorship. Understand what you're investing. Learn from people who have done it before. Learn it from people who are doing it. And also, don't stop investing in yourself. If you are, for example, a periodontist and you learn a Lanap surgery, how to do Lanap surgery, or you are a general dentist and you start doing endodontics in your office, keep expanding your skills, learning, and increasing the way that you earn income. But remember, as you earn, the percentage of income coming in should stay the same in terms of, I'm going to live off 80% of whatever I earn. Even though I'm earning higher money now, I've expanded my means, but I'm still living off 80%. And I'm saving even more. Now, the savings rate is still 20%, but the amount you're saving is increasing because your ability to earn is increasing, right? And as a result, you have more income more slaves to go out and work for you. I know that slaves sounds like a terrible, terrible analogy, but this is the analogy used in the book. And so I'm just staying consistent with it. Hope you got a great value from this book like I did. Smash the like button if you did like this. It also helps the algorithm hone this video to other people just like you that may get value from it. And if you haven't done so already, please gently hit your subscribe button and turn notifications on. These videos take a lot of research. It takes a lot of time to research, record, edit, and put them out for you to consume and hopefully enjoy. All right, guys, hope that helps. Until next time, I'm Jonny Walker. Live life abundantly, live life freely, and live life fully.